A fiery end to a dangerous and destructive pursuit. A Singleton street decimated by one truck and one man, Rodney Johnson. Today, Johnson faced Newcastle local court where he pleaded guilty to a raft of charges. In total, Johnson faced 30 charges. He pleaded guilty to 11 of them, including police pursuit, damaging property, reckless driving and dangerous driving occasioning grievous bodily harm. 10 others were withdrawn, including 2 charges of assaulting an officer and failing to stop and assist. 8 people were injured when the stolen B double ploughed down the busy street, slamming into cars, crashing through businesses and bringing down power poles before bursting into flames. It began some 100 kilometres away at Murrurundi. Police deployed road spikes along the way, but there was no stopping Johnson. Cameras captured the carnage, so too his dramatic arrest. Their guns drawn, police surround the cabin. Johnson, refusing to surrender, throws a flurry of punches at officers who drag him to the ground and handcuff him. Johnson has been in custody since his arrest just over a year ago. Today he appeared in court via video link from Silverwater Prison, remaining silent as pleas were entered to all 30 charges. He'll appear again via video link in the District Court next month, where a sentence date will be set. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
Newcastle's skateball stoush has taken a turn. Councillors backing a slightly amended motion to review the contentious design.
It is a very difficult area in terms of infrastructure and infrastructure renewal.
Lord Mayor Nuatali Nelms met with skateball opponents earlier today. Each says the other gave some ground.
Well, we walked in there with nothing and we've came out with something. We have been told the council are going to try and put some mitigating factors on the design.
We're making sure that we're dealing with the heritage of that site at the same time as looking at how we can provide environmentally sensitive infrastructure that actually supports future generations.
A representative from the Surfrider Foundation was also present, offering this advice regarding the proposal as it stands, which would see the skatebowl extend onto the beach.
Pretty much if you build something on the beach, a hard structure, the ocean's going to do its thing and the refractive wave energy will just excavate the sand away. And
the council says designs are constantly being refined.
We are working with all different groups to make sure we get a really positive win-win outcome for the city for the future.
We'll just wait on the council to ring us up and invite us into one of these consultation processes.
Sam Burbree, NBN News.
It's a section of pipeline that's nearing its expiry date. Built in 1923, this portion of the Chichester Main at Millers Forest can be problematic.
This pipe, it's kind of nearly 100 years old, and every now and then it fails, and when it fails, not only do you lose water, but I mean there's flood risk, and we just decided that we need to do the right thing by people who live near the pipe and also for the security of the region.
Now it's being replaced by a new underground version, 8 kilometres worth of pipeline, which helps take around 65 million litres of water to homes every day.
40% of the Lower Hunter gets supplied from this pipeline, so if this pipeline goes, we've got problems on our hands.
Sections of the main have been upgraded since 2009 in a $43 million project fully funded by Hunter Water. Fixing this part will stop more than 1,000 leaks every year and save 350 million litres of a precious resource.
It will significantly reduce leakage, it'll reduce the likelihood of people having supply interrupted because of a burst.
It's hoped the work will be finished by November 2019. Samantha Long, NBN News.
That was the message from Real Film Festival organisers today. The Hunter producing an incredible array to choose from.
All of our short films, bar two, are made by local filmmakers. We've had a bit of a focus on multiculturalism and living with a disability. Some of the films that we've received, honestly, I want to screen them all. I'm already looking at how we can maybe do that moving forward.
The festival gets underway on Friday with a series of workshops, masterclasses, panels and networking events, all to complement screenings across Newcastle, Lake Macquarie and Port Stephens.
It's really important for us as filmmakers to have opportunities to come together, to meet each other, to support the community.
Aussie actress Rachel Blake says film festivals can be priceless exposure.
It offers a window for people's work to get seen. And sometimes having your work on a big screen can be the tipping point in a project either going forward and it getting picked up.
Momentum Generation, a documentary about pro surfing, officially opens the festival on Friday night.
I hope the films that we've programmed are the films that people love.
Sam Burbury, NBN News.
This is the first time that William IV has been on the southern side of the harbour, tied up for 17 years.
Nigel Bogard was in a generous mood at training, donating the funds from the PFA Community Award he won last season to Hunter Life Education.
Overall, raised a bit over 4,500 myself, and I think it was maybe a couple hundred kids were able to sit through that program now because of it.
But the skipper doesn't want to give anything away against Adelaide. Despite Newcastle's poor record in the city, Bogard has fond memories of his 5 seasons with the Reds.
For me, it's High Marsh or Coopers now has one of the best atmospheres, I think, in the league. The way that stadium's built and the fans are on top of you, regardless if they're booing you. It's still nice to hear that volume in the stadium.
Ben Kantarovski has scored 3 of the Jets' last 4 goals at Hindmarsh. In a boost, he completed today's session, and if he pulls up well tomorrow, will be added to the travelling squad. Keeper Glenn Moss sat out training, still battered and bruised after copping plenty of special treatment from the Phoenix. None of those incidents were punished, while others caused plenty of controversy, including Wellington's penalty. The skipper says the on-field referee struggled to explain the ruling.
he really gave us no clarity around, especially the penalty. The other goal may have not been turned around had there not been VAR. So there's a place for it. I think the correct use and us understanding how it's going to be utilised is key.
Until the VAR problems are ironed out, Bogard says his side simply needs to put the result beyond doubt.
We need to score goals and not concede first. I think last year that was a trend that probably forced us to have to score the record amount of goals we've had in history. So for us, it's about starting a little bit better.
Following a win in a qualifying race at Sandown, Russell topped the times during co-driver practice on the Gold Coast. The rain ruined his hopes in the final race.
Sunday we were really in for a good result. We were third on the road. We were the first car to put both drivers in the car, so we were the effective leader of the race. And just unfortunately with a bit of weather, she got called off.
Russell believes his performances during the enduro events are the best of his career. He says he feels more relaxed in the car, and that's shown in the results. He hopes it'll be enough to be invited back.
I want to be driving full time. That's always the goal. It has been from the moment I started go-karts. But if that's not possible, then it's just try and be a co-driver in a really good team and have the best shot at winning some races.
A former colleague of Russell's is ramping up his own motorsport journey.
I completed Formula V last year where I became Rookie of the Year, Hot Shot of the Year. I got a bunch of awards for that.
18-year-old Lachlan O'Hara is taking part in the first Mazda RX-8 Cup. After finishing 4th in August at Wakefield Park, he has higher aspirations for round 4 this weekend in Sydney. He already has a drive locked in for next year's Bathurst 6-hour, but the Supercar Series is the aim.
That's every, obviously, Australian driver's dream in production cars at the moment. They want to go in the supercars, but also want to do endurance racing overseas. The big goal is to race at Le Mans.
Almost 2 months since his marathon trial came to an end, the case of Dr. Jeremy Coleman returned to court today. The immunologist is still facing 16 sexual or indecent assault charges, which the jury was unable to reach verdicts for. 64-year-old Coleman was excused from appearing today, but Newcastle District Court heard his legal team has made a no bill or no further proceedings application, seeking to have those remaining charges withdrawn. An application to be awarded costs associated with the year-long trial will also be made. The trial ran in the District Court and ended on the 3rd of September when the 64-year-old was acquitted of 50 sexual or indecent assault charges against female patients. The jury was deadlocked on 16. He strenuously denied the allegations from day one. The case was adjourned and will return to court in December to discuss the no further proceedings application and to set a hearing date for the costs application.
It seems in Newcastle's CBD right now, when one major project finishes, another begins. This site, a workers' car park right now, will soon look something like this. After the section of former rail corridor was sold to two separate developers, GWH is proposing Derby Plaza, serviced apartments, as well as commercial and retail space.
And that's all designed around creating great public space that really connects through to the harbour. As you can see behind us, there's already a pedestrian connection and the buildings are separated.
The Merriweather Street site has been snapped up by Doma. It owns the former Icebox building next door. It's believed Doma will amend any future plans for the site to incorporate the extra land. But the project is still being met with criticism. Here's a quote from the then Planning Minister, Brad Hazzard, in 2012, who said there was no plan to hand the rail corridor to developers and it would remain public property.
The majority of the corridor is being used for public use. If you think about the affordable housing, you think about the university, two great assets to the city. You go a little bit further east here and you've got Market Street Lawn, the entertainment precinct, the station. You go west from that area and it remains a rail corridor.
The Hunter Development Corporation also says funds from the sale will be invested back into the city. Georgia Marr, NBN News.
Chances are you know someone who has it or you have it yourself. Managing asthma is nothing new to the medical profession, but this conference is focusing on treating the disease when symptoms go beyond coughs and wheezes.
For most of those people, it's going to be a fairly mild condition. It'll be easily managed with lifestyle changes and maybe some inhalers, but there's a little group of people who've got really severe asthma where inhalers don't work so well, and we really need to look for some new treatment options.
1 in 10 Australians suffer from asthma, and for some, just getting through the day can be a battle.
That's the whole idea about treatable traits, in that those people that don't respond to normal therapies, what can we use to target some of their disease features that will then work in those people where standard therapies don't work.
Everything from dietary intervention to new medication was discussed today.
We're starting to see some new medications coming out, what we call targeted treatments, that really transform the lives of some of these patients. And from a doctor's point of view and from a patient's point of view, that's incredibly rewarding to see.
The conference wraps up tomorrow. Lauren Kemp, NBN News.
It's a really exciting announcement because you conduct research. We developed a program to benefit families, targeting dads and daughters, and to realise that it has global relevance and significance, going to have an impact on an international stage, is really quite rewarding.
It was good vibes only as the Jets wrapped up preparations for another tough road trip. Newcastle has trouble scoring goals in Adelaide, but according to Dimi Petratos, that's not on players' minds.
We've been very positive the 2 sessions that we've had this week, plus the recovery. Time to change things, I guess, and get a win over there.
Adding an extra layer of motivation, teammate Johnny Katrumbas. Petratos made a subtle but touching tribute to his friend during his goal celebration against the Phoenix.
Whoever was going to score was going to do it, and I happened to score. And I just did it for Johnny. It was just happened out of nowhere for most of the boys here. So just a little celebration for him and speedy recovery to him, and wish him all the best.
Ben Kantarovski has made the trip to Adelaide and will come off the bench against the Reds.
He's a very physical player, got a lot of experience, so it's good to have him back, and he's back from his injury. So good for him.
Christy Dawes wanted to compete at the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games less than 3 months after giving birth to baby Sophie. That didn't eventuate, but she's since shown her second child hasn't slowed her down, beating everyone to Belmont in last weekend's Fernley 15.
Since I've had kids, I've been racing the strongest I ever have, and I think it's so important to maintain your sense of self when you become a mother, and to not let go of your passions. And I think having that balance makes me more successful at the end of the day.
Her assignment will be much tougher next week when she heads to the New York Marathon. At 38, Dawes has fine-tuned her routine.
There's longevity in the mundane, I always say. Stretching and rest and recovery and doing all the right things after you get off the track is of the utmost importance as well.
It's that kind of work ethic that's likely to see her compete at an incredible 7th Paralympics.
All these events are just stepping stones to the big one in 2020, so onwards and upwards.
That is, unless her family of 4 becomes a quintet.
I'd like to maybe add an extra one, but I don't know that my husband's really up for that, so I might have to trick him into it. We'll see.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
Preaching to the converted, with a sermon focused on past wrongs.
At least 100 individuals were harmed in this diocese.
The Bishop of Newcastle delivered his address to the Synod the same week Canberra delivered a national apology for institutional abuse, as the Church grapples with its future place in society.
We are coming to terms with the decline of the influence and adherence of Anglican Christianity.
The congregation was joined by Royal Commissioner Robert Fitzgerald, who spoke about the findings that rocked the Church and the community to its very foundations.
In some cases in the Anglican Church, there was a focus on extending forgiveness and compassion to perpetrators rather than properly considering the needs of victims.
If the road to redemption begins with acknowledging past sins, the Bishop has commenced that process using his address to confront the brutal facts. But there's a long road ahead to win back the community's trust, and that depends on whether the church can convert its words to actions.
And the misunderstanding of forgiveness and accountability was and remains in some institutions an issue of grave concern.
The Synod continues tomorrow. Stephen Mount, NBN News.
A surfing lesson that was missing the most important part. The surf school had to switch up its program this morning. With its boards stolen, the focus turned to safety in the water. More than 40 surfboards, 100 plus wetsuits, dozens of rash shirts and a custom-made trailer were taken from Nobby's Beach early yesterday morning.
Felt really devastated. I was like, damn it. We don't even have the rash vests because they're all in the trailer to wear, so like that's something cool when the kids put on a rashie.
I went through Surf School and I started to learn surf, and that was a very long time ago. And as now working as a coach, it is pretty devastating as this is like my job.
But this afternoon, the school's luck changed. A tip-off to Raymond Terrace Police led officers straight to the trailer, found abandoned in bushland near Medowie. Inside, most of the missing items.
The trailer's been banged up and it's got mud all over it, and they've used the boards to try to unbog themselves. So there's a bit of damage, but nothing that can't be fixed pretty quick.
Samantha Long, NBN News.
They're people who've humbly risked their lives to help others. From drownings to domestic violence, each one has stepped in and made a difference.
I was just doing my job, something that we all do every day.
Among those recognised at today's Lake Macquarie Police Awards, Senior Constable Justin Steer. He drove through dangerous bush terrain for 10 hours straight, looking for a missing man, but emerged with his sense of humour still intact.
I don't know if you've driven through the Waddingham Mountains before, can be a bit rough. The spine does take a bit of a beating.
Not all heroes wear a uniform. The majority of today's recipients were above average Joes doing their bit to boost the thin blue line. These charming young faces helped dismantle a sophisticated drug setup.
We were just riding through the bush and then we discovered a new track and went down there and we found it.
Jet got his phone and took a photo and we rode straight home, and we tried calling the parents but none of the parents were answering.
The boys made it home and their parents helped them call police. That's when Senior Constable Andrew Burke enlisted them for the operation.
We weren't really sure what was going to happen. We weren't sure if they wanted us to come down with them but they did, and we helped them get all the plants, put them in the car. And
we were wondering if we told them or if we didn't.
Do you think you made the right decision?
Yes.
Going to do anything to celebrate this afternoon, guys?
Probably go for another bike ride.
Georgia Marr, NBN News.
They have a lot of high quality in the offense, a lot of movements, not really a clear position with their offensive players. With Petratos, with Vargas is now fit after his long injury.
Petratos by name, Petratos by nature.
I score goals and I set up a lot of goals.
19-year-old Bana has re-signed with the Jets after an injury-riddled season.
I did my ankle 3 times last year. I did twice at training and 1 in a game. I just want to get back playing and, get comfortable with the girls and the team.
Bana, Tegan Collister and Libby Copus-Brown complete Newcastle's roster. For UK-born Copus-Brown, it's second time around.
When I had the year off, I really realised how much I missed it, so yeah, I'm really happy to be back. I've always been a Newcastle girl ever since I moved from England, so I just really wanted to stay home.
The 20-year-old knows she has work to do to push for a spot in Craig Deans' starting 11.
I really just want to make as much impact as I can, really. Do whatever I can to help the team out and hopefully get there to the grand final.
The Jets kick off their 2018-19 campaign against the Melbourne Victory next Thursday night. Edward's first season in World Supersport 300 was very much a learning one.
This year we took it on at the start as a learning year, which it definitely has been.
Now back home, the Swansea teenager can reflect on the highs and lows. Crashes marred his first few rounds, but he started to ease in towards the end, claiming his first pole position in Portugal. Then in the last round in France, Edwards qualified third and was leading when his chain broke with 3 laps to go.
It's not the result we wanted, but it's what we wanted. I didn't crash and I was up the front and good chance of winning.
A niggling shoulder injury didn't help things either.
Made it a little bit hard in the last few rounds, but I think I'll make a full recovery and it'll be absolutely fine for next year and the future.
And the future starts now.
It's still not really settling down. It's still talking about next year, organising sponsors, doing heaps of work. It's still like the season's still going because you're doing so much for the racing.
Kurri Kurri's got a really proud history of its community, and as a community, Kurri Kurri Public School is very proud of their history.
exonerated and relieved. It's been a gruelling 4 years for former Charlestown MP Andrew Cornwall.
I always had truth on my side.
Cleared of perjury allegations by ICAC on the advice of the Director of Public Prosecutions.
No matter how hard they tried, I'd told the truth. Despite great personal cost, I'd told the truth. And therefore, as I tell my children, if you tell the truth, how bad can it get?
Mr Cornwall was accused of giving false and misleading evidence to Operation Spicer, the 2014 ICAC inquiry into illegal developer donations during the 2011 state election campaign.
To accuse some of lying is a dreadful thing to do, and it should have been done with more evidence. We felt that the accusations were baseless. They've been proven to be baseless, and I'm just relieved to have it behind me.
Operation Spicer claimed high-profile scalps in state and local government and saw allegations levelled at several high-profile Hunter businessmen. It appears one by one they're being cleared of corruption, but the closure is coming at a cost at a professional and personal level.
It's something we should never have been put through, but I've been very fortunate to have had a wonderful community, wonderful family and wonderful friends there to support us through these times.
With his reputation now restored, Mr Cornwall remains surprisingly upbeat about the political system.
Politics is a wonderful thing to do. It's a great thing to do for your community, and being a member of Parliament is an enormous privilege. But I'm very happy to hand the baton to a new generation of politicians.
A statement from Andrew Cornwall can be read in full on our website. Stephen Mount, NBN News.
Thanks, Tice, and welcome to Scully Park, where it's been a hot afternoon in more ways than one, Paul.
Oh, it sure has, Tash. There's an amazing atmosphere here in Tamworth this afternoon. It has been hot, and thousands of people have gathered for this Haymate Bio-Bale concert, all to raise money for our farmers and their families.
And it's appropriate, really, because these are the kind of conditions that farmers are facing heading into summer. There's been a little bit of rain lately, but not nearly enough.
Yeah. Rural Aid is going to benefit from tonight's telethon and concert here in Tamworth, and they do amazing work supporting our farmers and their families through these tough times.
So we'll tell you later how you can donate, but first of all, we want to let you know about the entertainment coming up. There's plenty of it.
Big names, John Farnham, of course, the headline act. We've got Guy Sebastian, the Veronicas, and Tasha's personal favourite.
My favourite, Daryl Braithwaite. He actually looks like my uncle, so I've always loved him from being a child.
Don't be surprised if you see Tasha's dancing to the horses a little later on. But it's been a huge day. Everything has been set up and it's almost ready to go. Here's how the day unfolded so far. So as you can see, a lot of characters and a lot of people giving their time to raise money for this very important cause tonight.
That's right. Now, Paul and I are going to be heading into the phone room soon. We're really hoping that you'll give us a call and make a pledge. We'll be back a little later to tell you how you can do that.
Pristine Maitland Park looks pretty as a picture, but when you look closer, remnants from parties and picnics remain. The gloves were on today and the bags filling up as residents jumped on board the Take 3 for the Sea movement.
Just take 3 items of rubbish with you when you leave a special place. And that's because our oceans are filling up with plastic, having a huge impact on marine life and really threatening the health of our oceans.
A movement which has gone global. Founder Tim Silverwood on a tour around the country with one very important message for Aussies living inland.
The ocean is downhill from everywhere. So the pollution that is in our oceans is coming from land.
Anything you throw on the ground all the way over the valley ends up in a river, which ends up in the ocean.
This is a residential developer. It's sometimes a little bit difficult to illustrate our environmental awareness and consciousness, and so Take 3 gives us that opportunity to get into the local community.
Maitland's 2-day environmental blitz was powered by Avid Property. Parents and kids scoured the grounds today. School visits and a documentary viewing, all getting the town thinking about their relationship with plastics.
We encourage people not only to remove it from the environment, but also to reduce your use of plastic. Think about those plastic straws and plastic cutlery and plastic bottles. They last longer on this planet than you will.
Georgia Marr, NBN News. From quirky vocal warm-ups
to the big stage. Schools and drama groups putting months of hard work on the line. For many, it was their debut show for an audience of industry experts.
You watch them just transform in front of you. You see kids come on stage who you think, oh, how is that child going to do that, this little thing? And then they just kill it. You know, they go out there and they sing and they act and they dance and they smile. And you see them engaging with other kids.
The Civic Theatre is the only theatre in Australia to welcome the globally renowned workshops. Hundreds of students from both the Hunter and Interstate have travelled to be here today.
It's just amazing because Newcastle is known for producing wonderful talent and things like that, and this is just again cementing our place on the national platform that we are producing Australia's best talent here in Newcastle.
Costumes in the form of T-shirts. It was about raw talent, proving any role can take the spotlight. Return performers making leaps and bounds from where they first began.
I think I'm definitely a lot more confident and more willing to learn from the experience because I kind of know what to expect, but at the same time there's always new surprises.
The theatre celebration hopes to return next year. Lauren Kemp, NBN News. The Jets had the better of the first half in Adelaide. Dimi Petratos was everywhere. Jair showed glimpses, but it took until the second half to break the deadlock. A maiden A-League goal for Ronnie Vargas, but the lead was short-lived. Former Jet Craig Goodwin had been threatening all night. Hoffman should have had his own. But it was a chaotic end to the match that had everyone talking. Tempers flaring. Yellow cards flying and even more questioning of the VAR.
It looked to me like three players went for the ball, and he certainly didn't come to punch anyone. He went for the ball. Three of them collided. It was just purely innocent.
The referee said, the VAR said to me, it's a foul from Blackwood, but he didn't watch himself. Who's the main referee? The VAR on the stage or the boy on the pitch? And that, for me, we have to clear. It's the VAR the boss or the referee.
The VAR is, I think, an important piece of technology for our game and certainly here for the future. The operation of it has been pretty well disastrous. So if the VAR got involved, I told you I'd get pretty nervous. My heart rate was racing as soon as I see that hand going up.
1 point from the road and back home for the Jets next round.
Tough opening 6 games. To lose one and draw one, well, at least we're playing reasonably good football for at least half a game.
Thanks, Tice. Well, it certainly has been a hot one here today. People are staying very well hydrated, though, and looking forward to a great night ahead.
That's right. Not long to wait now. The concert will be on right after the news. You can give us a buzz in the phone room to donate. It's very important. The number is 1300 100 242. What was that number again, Tash?
1300. I was just checking my palm to make sure you got it right. Palm reader. 1300 100 242 is the number to call. We'd love to take that phone call from you.
It's a very good cause. Make sure you can help if you can.
This is what you would call a convoy of big rigs. 200 trucks, a police escort and Ronald McDonald leading the charge. It was a trip up the New England from Sandgate to Maitland for two very important reasons.
Raising awareness for our transport industry and giving the ladies and the men out there on the roads the appreciation of the work that they do.
If we didn't have truck drivers, Australia would stop.
The other is for this guy and the Westpac Rescue helicopter. $50,000 raised today, split between the two charities.
We're very lucky and humbled that we've been the beneficiary for the Transport Awareness Day for the last 24 years, and they've raised over $1.4 million.
Once parked up, truckies hoped people could see things from their perspective.
Just more so people in cars can give a little bit of courtesy to our drivers so they can get home safe to their families.
One of the challenges the trucking industry is facing is recruitment. Misconceptions about the job are turning younger drivers away.
It is pretty scary being as a business owner. We're always advertising for drivers to get quality drivers.
It's tough on the guys out there on the road. The rules, the regulations, the compliance that's today. We all know about the accidents that are happening locally at the moment. The truck drivers are very, very quick to be judged, and it's not always the truck driver's fault, I can assure you.
Georgia Marr, NBN News. These curious five are on the hunt for a special place. It's called Bush School. It's where the shoes can come off and the outdoor learning starts.
Life's always better in the dirt, we say.
The preschool students at Wood Rising Natural Learning Centre make this journey regularly. It's part of a new program called Essential Connections, using a natural setting to help the development of children.
Every year we're finding that we've got more and more children presenting with additional needs, and that might be social needs, it could be sensory processing, anxiety, all different things. And the first 5 years is so important for brain development, so we thought it was something we really needed to tackle.
The educators enlisted occupational therapist Bonnie Berry to help. She created the program that gets children outside in a tactile learning environment, climbing, balancing and exploring.
They're developing not just their physical skills, but their cognitive, emotional, social skills as well. So we're seeing kids who are more confident, who are more settled when they're coming for drop-offs. So if we can intervene early and support our children to develop, they're going to have a greater chance of success in school.
Back at the centre, the program continues and it's all about jumping outside their comfort zone.
Risk-taking is such an important thing. It really does grow their resilience and build them a bit of grit.
All to build strong little Australians for the future. Georgia Marr, NBN News.
This week on NBN News, a special look at breast cancer awareness. Monday, one young survivor's story of determination and fundraising.
In the back of my mind, I kind of had that feeling of dread, which I still do have every day.
And Tuesday, life after a mastectomy. That's this week on NBN News.
Forget the good old pet parrot, these little budgies are big business. The humble budgerigar in every size, shape, colour and sound. From the big and small, the bright and colourful, to the plain and simple, more than 250 pint-sized parrots on display. And today, under close scrutiny, judges at the Newcastle Budgerigar Club's annual show rustling every feather to see who'll rule the roost.
They look for colour, variety, as well as stance.
And also the basics.
Must have a tail, disqualified without a tail.
Sadly, that meant not everyone made the cut. And when it comes to varieties, nowadays, apparently a budgie isn't just a budgie.
We have normal greens, grey greens, sky blues, violets, greys, dilates, albinos, lutinos, clear wings, spangles, dominant pies, recessive pies, dark wings, dark-eyed clears. There's plenty.
So with plenty of options, there's sure to be a budgie out there for everyone. Which one's your favourite so far?
The one that's over there. My favourite bird is a blue one. Those two.
And whether they're for show or for a pet, you can't go wrong.
It's a great hobby and it's worth a try.
Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
Clouds and tempo as the game has lifted. Again, they look for Matt Simon. It drops here for Connor Payne. McCormack had to be, didn't it? Scores against his old club. Inside their own penalty area. McGree's cross, all great save by Kennedy to deny Rostin Griffiths. Thumb back in by Beron Gay. Stopped on the line. It's over. It's in. Dario Vidicic has the equaliser. It's a scruffy goal, but City won't care. It's 1-1.
It looks like child's play, but this Lego workshop is anything but. Lego's serious play is serious. Just don't tell these women that. The Jets W League side is the first professional sports team to use Lego Serious Play.
Global leaders like Microsoft and NASA, Google, they use it as a process to dive into issues and help creativity.
In this instance, those little building blocks most of us grew up with are used to harness creative ideas, shared goals and problem-solving skills.
What we're going to be asking the team are things like, what makes you proud to put on the jersey? What are some of the issues that might be holding you back from success? So what we do is a process of building models, and it's all about storytelling and metaphor.
It's all about getting these athletes to think differently.
So you might be up against an opponent, you need to tackle a new way of winning the game.
With just a few days before the Jets kick off their season, it's hoped this workshop will form an important piece of the puzzle.
We need to start working on our identity as a team and what we're going to bring to the club. And the club's been very good to the W League team in the last 2 years, and we want to make sure we give back to the owner and the supporters that come out every week. And this is hopefully going to be an important factor for that.
The pleasing thing is we got the win and we found a way to win when we were struggling tonight on both ends at times.